Remember,
I mean, honestly, the notes is just a bunch of no context notes that don't make sense.
That makes sense for when you're first watching something like this.
Yeah.
Like I one of my notes is literally just the phrase, "There aren't even vending machines."
One of my notes is not the meatball.
I don't even know what that's from.
You gotta, both of you have to send me your notes when this is.
It's from chapter 1, apparently. No, it's chapter 2. It's chapter 2.
People in chapter 2.
Oh, I have a note. I completely forgot. I have a note that just said choking on a meatball.
And now it's time for something completely different.
I thought that was Star Kid Spotlight.
I mean, even more different.
Oh, are you talking about? I got nothing. Normally, Watch is the one who does these intros with you, random, not me.
Yeah,
Welcome to our very first video game podcast where we talk about the lore of Crash Bandicoot.
No.
We're starting off with Crash Bandicoot 1 on this, the Pod Crash.
No.
Oh, now you make it. We got to do Crash Bandicoot at some time, just so we can call it the Pod Crash.
Pod Crash. Anyway, this is not what we're doing. Kirby fan, what are we doing?
Welcome to Higurashi When They Podcast. We are finally
Pods crashed.
Pod crashed.
Pods cast, but okay.
Pod whatever. Where we are talking about, take a guess. Look at the title if you can't guess, but we are talking about Higurashi. I'm Random Bystander here.
I'm Kirby fan.
And I'm Random Bystander here.
I'm the
Watch. If you liked what you listened to, you can check out twitter.com/random bystander here.
We're so cute.
Watch, plug now instead of the end of the episode.
If you like what we're about to listen to, then you can go to our Twitter account, WRK Podcast, and we'll let you know when the next episode comes out. And also subscribe to our YouTube channel. I don't know if it doesn't have a URL just yet, but
it might by the time this is done. We'll see.
Maybe, but look up Pixar Spective or CinemaSon or what?
Star Kid Spotlight.
Star Kid Spotlight actually showed up. Showed up at the top, and you can check out our other podcasts in audio form at wrk.simplecast.com. And follow our SoundCloud.
All right, nice tactic with stalling, Kirby fan. Now I'll get on with it.
Okay, so. For those who are uninitiated, they came from either Pixar Spective or Star Kid Spotlight or whatever and decided to stick around. Higurashi, I don't even know where to start with this. I guess the raw basics is a sound novel that was released way back in ye old 2002. I'm assuming there's not much that you two know about it, but if there's one thing that you can... trying to think of the nicest way to put this. Higurashi... didn't have a budget. I think that's the nicest way I can word it. I really want to talk about sound effects, but listening to the sound effects, how compressed they are because they're obviously royalty free, so they can't get good quality, especially because it was back in 2002, so they can't get good quality.
Yes,
but the history behind it is definitely something that I want to talk about, which can lead into what we're actually the topic of discussion for the day. Because you both read, I'm going to say this was 10 hours, a little longer for Wash because they had voice acting on.
Yeah. I think for me it was something like 13 hours. Random, do you have history with Higurashi When They Cry?
A little bit, actually. Very slight.
Whoa.
Very slight.
Okay, stay here. I want you to go first.
My history was, one, whenever I would go on Twitter, I would always see retweets of Higurashi stuff related.
I wonder from who?
Yeah, I wonder from who, right, Kirby? And I would no idea what it means. Two, a certain someone I know, I won't say the name of the person just in case I don't know if they want me to tell them, was doing a dub of Higurashi, and I auditioned for the dad, and I think I got the dad, Earl, and I don't know what happened with it, but I just remember voicing the dad like Timmy Turner's dad. And now I think they accepted it as a joke, but looking at it now, it really doesn't fit.
No.
I would say more Jimmy Neutron's dad fits more. Anyway, and 3.
Hey, Jimbo! What's with
there,
all the
kid?
monkey all over the wall?
And 3, I was scrolling on TikTok.
Oh boy.
And just randomly see this, like, what looks like an anime TV series of a girl in, like, orange red hair yelling at this anime protagonist looking guy. And I was perplexed. And all I remember is that detail and the fact that it was indoors, I think. And I remember seeing the hashtag Higurashi. I'm like, oh, that's the anime Kirby fan always tweets about. And then scrolled. That's my history.
Good history.
Okay.
Very, very rich.
That's it.
So the thing I wanted to say was that it's I could swear I've seen this somewhere on TV tropes. Good grief. And I'm pretty sure at one point, like we Kirby fan pitched this. Hey, we should do something for this thing called Higurashi. And I looked it up, and I saw the picture of the orange-haired girl, and I said, "Is this the yandere thing?" And you didn't say anything.
Yeah, I didn't say a word. And before we go any further with anything, I want to make one point perfectly clear. If we're discussing theories and stuff and either one of you say something, it doesn't matter if it's true or not. I'm going to respond with the tried and true random bystander here response. I am neither going to confirm or deny. No,
I knew it. The second I knew there was going to be some, like, spoilers or some murder mystery going on or something, and I knew that was going to be your response to everything.
So I do want to have, like, an active discussion about it, because I know what happens. I've read this. I guess we'll get into my history in a little bit, but I like Higurashi a lot. But, you know, if it, like, you know, I'm down to humor things, but specifically when it's like, oh, does it do this, or how's this, or whatever, that's when, you know, Kirby fan 66 turns into random bystander here 66, and
yeah, we're going to talk about this chapter.
yes,
right, mostly.
Yes, the first part of
any theories will happen near the end, probably, but this is, again, Wash and I, this has been around since 2002. Wash and I have never seen any of these until now. So
no. I think the reason why I mentioned yandere was that, but I'm pretty sure I was scrolling through TV tropes and I saw the page for yandere, and I clicked on this clip with no context from. I'm pretty sure this had to be either an anime or maybe it was the PlayStation 2 game and it was a cutscene. I just remember a clip of Rena laughing with crazy eyes. And
I wonder if that was the same TikTok clip, because that sound rings a bell.
There's probably a really popular, like, cutscene just for the scare factor. I mean,
I would not be surprised.
It's a shame you did not get the voice version, because that cackle, holy hell.
Oh, fuck. I am really glad.
Yeah, so this is actually something that I want to talk about now, because I want to delve into the history of it leading up to where it started, but I was like, we got to talk about the music and the sound, like, we just have to. But when it was originally released, as I said, and as is very clearly obvious, Higurashi had a budget of please give me your money. So they did not have a lot to work with. Case in point, no voice acting. So the version that Random went through was much more... Neither of you went through it the wrong way. It's very valid going through it either way. But the version that Random went through was a bit closer to what the original version was. Wash had also went through it with the text aligned differently. Random went through it in a way that's kind of more traditional. The names are on the bottom and then there's the text. The way that Wash went through it is the way that the text is, like, you know, centered on the screen, like the characters are in the background. Keeps you... I prefer... I'm just all the way around an originalist, I guess. I like the OG backgrounds, the OG sprites, the OG text. But again, no wrong way to go through it. Just, again, it's very impressive what he managed to do without voices, with compressed sound effects, royalty-free music. backgrounds that he took pictures of himself and then just applied filters to.
I was gonna say they looked real. They looked like they were taken by a camera in the 2000s,
Yep.
or like a stock photo.
Especially like camera in the 2000s, like the kind that didn't have very good white balancing.
Oh god, yeah, the house. We'll talk about the house.
Oh my god!
But let's start with the music and the sound effect. Again, we'll get into like story stuff later on because I know there's a lot to say.
There's a lot.
Tell me, what did you think of the music and the sound?
Looking through my notes, because I have literally how many pages? 16 pages worth of notes, which is the most I've taken for anything work in progress, by the way.
Yeah, this is like the biggest thing we've. I remember when when we're doing the, which was it? Harry Potter sequel. When I said I hope to God we don't have to talk about anything longer than 3.5 hours. And now here we are with something that's 13 hours.
Now here we are, 13.
Nothing will beat Higurashi at this point, and if it does, shit. Anyway, going to the music, I'm looking that like it's so weird how like wishy-washy but good it gets. Like first, apparently you have this whole anime intro, and then you have like the silence of the prologue with the chopping going on, where it's like very serious, very ominous shit, and then you have this happy anime music that plays throughout the first couple chapters, which is a mix of like the happy, wholesome anime music with the oh shit, there's a badass challenge that's gonna happen music.
The circus music.
The circus music. And it fits the scenes quite well. And with the wholesome moments especially, and it like really gets you in the mood for like, okay, there's gonna be a cute introduction moment. Oh, there's some sad music, it's gonna be a sadder moment. Oh, shit's about to go down, and shit's there's a conspiracy. Well, guess what? There's some murdering music happening right now, and it fits it really well. I don't think I would have been as into it if it weren't for the music and sound.
I definitely think the sound, like I pick on the sound effects because it's 2002, right? It's fun. Yeah. But I think sound effects do just as much of the heavy lifting as the music does. I'll be frank.
There's something about, honestly, the sound effects did not bother me at all. Like, I was not thinking, oh god, this is corny from 2002. I was like, shit.
The first scene, the one that you were talking about with smacking, that one set, the only audio that you get throughout that whole thing is the bat. That's it.
Oh, was it a bat? I thought it was an axe.
I thought it was an axe too until the last episode, but we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
So basically, I thought it was like shopping season, and I basically just I don't know, and it's the only sound effects you got. It's like one of the few sound effects you hear in like chapter 1, other than like maybe the sound of a punch as Rina punches like the protagonist and Mio, I believe. Is it Mio or Mio?
Mion is the other friend. Keiichi's the protagonist.
Yeah. By the way, I butchered their names. I thought it was Kechi. I thought it was Mion. Well, Mion, I was right. I say Rina, not Rena. But and Sakato and Rika. I don't know if I got those right.
Did you? I think you said Sakato. I think you were close. It's Satoko. You were close.
Satoko. Ah, shit.
You were close.
And with the other characters, I just called them the photographer and the detective because I can't pronounce the photographer's name.
Tomotake.
I can't do that.
Tomotake and Oishi.
Uishi was fine. Tomotake, now I got it. But before I was just like, no. And that's okay because of what happens to him later. So,
only because I had to like keep track of the names in here.
Anyone with a portrait, I was like, okay, I need to note you down.
Yeah, exactly. When I even wrote down there is a blue-haired T-shirt, even though she had played nothing.
She barely contributed anything at one point.
She said, "Hey, we're going don't troll,
anyway.
Don't troll people when they ask you questions." That's it.
That's really it. And I thought she was, oh my god, it's a portrait. It's the main character. What, is she part of the conspiracy? Did she murder people?
Who knows?
Yeah, honestly, who knows? But back to the music, because we keep jumping off topic like crazy.
Yeah, I want to add to what you're saying is that on top of the music doing a lot of this is the absence of music.
Absolutely.
That did.
Oh my god.
Absolutely.
It's the yin yang, if you will. Like there's so much to the to like when you're into the sort of music that they play whenever they're walking home from school, and then it just fades out and it's just nothing while this girl is staring at you with glassy eyes.
Oh god, no! We'll get to that later, but there was literally points. There was points where I was like, "Oh, happy music! I like when there's music," but it's the same thing. A lot of horror games are still doing it. Even like without a lot of horror games and horror like novels use the tactic of no music to its advantage, where they'll just play thing. And Washkin attempted this. My Omori instincts kicked in whenever there was no music. I was like, "Oh shit, no!" Because without spoiling anything, when there's no music, shit goes down. And it was the same with this one.
Yeah, it's a very easy, very effective way of creating tension, because you especially by that point you've become so conditioned to the routine, to the habits, which actually plays very much into the story itself.
Because there's a good 5 chapters, I'd say, before things get weird. Before the festival.
So there's the first 5 chapters, and then there's the festival, which is mostly happy fun.
Yeah.
But then starting halfway through chapter 7, so we'll just say 6 chapters. We'll say half of it is happy fun, half of it is happy fun. So I guess now would be a good time, unless you had anything to add with the music.
I'm just trying to think of more of the sound effects now as well, because they also played a good part.
For the goofy stuff, it's I don't want to downplay the happy fun times, but it is very much what you'd expect. Like when a big moment happens, you get that one. I love the sound effects that they had for the gun that pops down, that little that weird gun. It's like, okay. No budget, but again, it really does.
Well, it wasn't an air rifle, to be fair.
Oh, that's true.
I love the festival. You could tell they're getting close to bringing the bear down with a boom.
Yeah, yes, I love it.
And this is especially showing up quite often in the second half of the story, was the ambiance that they add, especially the slow motion ambiance. Whenever there's suddenly it's frozen in time, and there's a exactly, and it's a very subtle thing. Yeah.
One thing I loved and almost made me remind me of a certain literature club game. There was one point, I think it was the last chapter, in when you get a close up of either. Oh god! It's either
I was so
Rena's face or both Rena.
Rena and me owns both. Yeah.
Rena.
Yeah, and you just hear this happy music, and all of a sudden you hear the sudden ominous music creep in, and I'm like, no, this is wholesome. No, please don't ruin this, please. But that's they did good. It really enhanced things a lot. And if this was and honestly, the fact that this was low budget and was copyright free music, and stock sound effects, it didn't bother me.
Yeah,
in fact, I didn't even notice.
It doesn't bother me. It's honestly, I don't want to say one of my favorite parts about it, but it's definitely, to me, the most impressive part, that he's able to do it so effectively with talking about the history and stuff. The part that makes me laugh the most. So royalty-free music, obviously it exists, but royalty-free, they don't all come at the same volume. So what he had to do was he had specific software that would either raise or lower the volume of the music, but because he didn't really know what he was doing from a technical side, the original launches of the game had horrible audio balancing. So he would just constantly have to update the game, resell it, and those versions would have better audio and a bunch of other random fixes.
Also, in order to have the true experience, I needed to like crank up the speakers up and down. That's what.
Yeah, exactly. This is an interactive novel.
What I did want to add, just one final note I'll add to something I just now thought of was there's a certain, like, I felt this was really effective. There was a certain point, because it's really easy to, like I said, it's really easy to just cut the music to create tension. But one thing that was really effective was, and I think it was the second phone call with Uichi.
Oishi, yeah.
Oh God, I know what you're talking about. Oh no.
And they're having a phone call, and the music is playing, and then at a certain point they're having a regular conversation, and you hear a doorbell.
Yeah.
But nothing. The conversation keeps going, the music keeps going, and then at a certain point he's like, "Wait a minute, what is that?" This is doorbell.
It's taken my everything not to talk about that scene specifically, but yes, brilliant.
Oh my God. And
Absolutely.
it's even more effective when later down the line shit happens and you hear that doorbell again, and it's very hard to make something like a doorbell sound suspenseful.
It takes a good writer, yeah.
Damn, like the fact that they started it with that and kept it like that even all the way to the very end. Like, damn. Kudos to you, my friend. You did it. You did it.
So who is this friend you were
Absolutely.
talking about, you may ask? Why, I will answer. You are talking about the writer, the man, the myth, the legend himself. Ryukishi07 is what he goes by to the public eye. Growing up, he liked to play video games a lot, have some very clear inspirations. Not all of them horror, but obviously you're gonna have horror inspirations when, you read the story. So he had joined so the term, it's a bit hard to explain. It's called the Dojinshi Group in Glorious Nippon Ichi. Basically, it's just like a group of artists that come together to make a product. Typically, you find manga. You'll find art used for card games and stuff like that. But that's the basic idea. He joined that group. And at some point while he was in that group, he had decided that he wanted to make a game because he really liked games. But the one thing, he felt he was lacking two things. One was technical savviness, which is fine. You can get someone else to do that. But life experiences, those were the other things that he felt he was lacking. So he started to work. His first job, we don't really know much about. He doesn't talk about it. But for 10 years, he worked as a public servant. And in those 10 years, he learned a lot. And a lot of what he learned is what he used when writing the story. But as far as actually, doing the game itself, he pretty much, the team was him and his brother. That was the team. His brother handled like testing and stuff to make sure that things worked. Obviously, they didn't go perfectly, but this is a long game here. You gotta get the product out. So he helped with that. But for the most part, like the writing, that was Ryukishi. The photography for the backgrounds, that was Ryukishi. Character art, that was Ryukishi. Everything was basically him. The only additional member that through his group, he had met a friend. The longer we go through stuff, the more his name is going to pop up. Goes by the name BT. And he became Ryukishi's editor. So thankfully, Ryukishi had an editor.
Nice.
And, working on the game, released a demo. Not that many people played it, probably like 100, that ballpark. Not a lot of people, but people played it, and they gave him advice and stuff. Cool. Then came time to sell the game. Now, the problem with selling the game is that visual novels at the time needed a few things to work. There was one specific company that was selling visual novels that kind of like they made a formula. They had to be dating sims. They had to have porn. They had to have it was like a checklist.
Oh.
And Higurashi actually does meet a few of these. You can tell that he was being inspired by the pros. Obviously, there's no porn, and I'm very thankful for that.
Yes.
Yes.
But he gets to Comiket, which is the place that they sell this stuff. Hundreds of thousands of people are showing up at this point, and he did not sell a lot. The first time that he sold, I think he said he was prepared with like 100 units, and he sold 5. It did not sell.
Ooh.
But he kept at it, kept working at it. Finally managed to, through word of mouth, when it finally launched, he at least managed to sell like 100 copies, that ballpark. But, stores wouldn't take it because it didn't look good enough. People wouldn't buy it because it didn't fit the conventions at the time. Like, a lot of people really wanted their dating sims to, be dating sims. Word of mouth getting around that it's a horror game without porn in it. Who's going to buy it? But he kept at it. Everybody who bought it, he said, tell your friends about it. Stuff like that. If some insane marketing strategies, such as if you contact me and tell me ways that I can improve the story going forward, I will give you the next volume for free. If you buy the trading card thing that my group is doing, if you order them, I will give you the first the what we read. I will give you that for free. Like just any way that he possibly could to get the game out, because he really wanted to tell his story. That's not even going into, I know I briefly told you guys about this. That's not even before all this started. He was friends with a theater group and he wanted this to be a stage play at first. Because there was, like a newcomer screenwriter contest where you'd win the US equivalent of like $1,000 if you performed your thing and it won. That's what this was originally. It's like an hour long, super short, super different. And then it's a wild ride. When we're all caught up, we're all caught up and you don't have to worry about spoilers, definitely look into it. Cause it's a ride, the hurdles that he had to go through. And the way that it got successful is also really funny, which we'll talk about later down the line, because unfortunately, it didn't get successful right off the bat. Like, more books were coming out, and it was still like a niche thing that only a couple hundred people were really into.
But something happens later that changes.
Yes, it's very funny. But
because I noticed, like, we got from here to a manga, an anime, a PlayStation 2 game. Like, there's quite some big
Higurashi's a giant. It's not like the biggest thing, but it's huge. It's big. Now that we got the history out of the way that we're going to be splitting this up, it's just the way that makes the most sense to me. We're going to start by tackling the first 5 chapters pre-festival, when, it's just the characters having fun. We're exploring the village, finding out, everything about the world of Hinamizawa. Then we're going to talk about the festival. That won't take too long, but the festival is very important. You could argue it's the most important chapter in the whole game.
Oh my god! Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about when things go downhill. So let's start with the happy fun times, chapters 1 through 5.
First off, the intro, and I mean like intro,
the very beginning,
like, the very beginning. That sets off like this isn't going to be your average like, oh, everything's so cute romance simulator. I mean, it has moments in it like that, but yeah, there's that's the sound of something being hit or chopped. Someone's dying. What's gonna happen? And then it cuts to cute anime moments of a artless protagonist hanging out with.
Well, that is a nod to the bonus episode where he complains about not having a portrait.
Yeah. And anime girls. Which at first I was like, okay. I don't really know where this is going, but you know what? I'll roll with it. If Kirby fans showing this, there's obviously more to it than just cute anime girls.
Wait. Are you sure about that?
I was gonna say, like...
Also, I kept getting... the only other thing to compare it with would be Doki Doki Literature Club, and I'm like, they did the same damn thing.
Very easy comparison.
They did the same damn thing, and I'm like, okay, shit's gonna go wrong. I'm ready for it. I know it took a while there. It's probably gonna take a while here. And then, just like with Doki Doki Literature Club, I was slowly getting into the wholesomeness. Especially, and call me a hopeless romantic. Call me a freaking
hopeless
shipper.
Romantic.
But
Random.
I was like, oh, Rina's adorable. Why? Just make a move, damn it. Just stop teasing her and tell her how you feel before shit goes wrong.
Well, you gotta understand, her heart belongs to Colonel Randy.
I know, but who helped helped her get it? Who helped her? Okay.
Okay.
And I would just the whole time, even though she was like, just come on, get together. Especially when he wins her the fucking bear. I'm just like, fuck, this is the moment, do it. And they didn't, and I was mad.
There was the moment where everybody thought that Casey showed Renna his deal. That's what it was. It was his furry
It was a
deal.
keychain.
It was a keychain that he made when he was younger. And it's cute and it embarrasses him how...
Yeah, and I would just like, oh god, he's taking...
She got like pummeled.
Yeah.
Listen, now that you know there's nothing wrong, can you get off me, please?
But that's the different. That's the middle chapter. That's
yeah. We'll get back to that.
We'll get back to that.
We're kind of jumping all over the place.
I guess before I give my 2 cents, because there's something about these first, or for the most part, for these first 5 chapters that it's very important, and I hope you caught on to it. But we'll hear what Wash has to say first.
The first 5 chapters was the multiple chapters where the whole plot is let's play a game, and they play a game. let's play tag. Let's play.
Okay, you cannot tell me that zombie tag is not like the hypest thing.
There's it is not only was it fun, but it's also great foreshadowing.
Yes, there's
so much foreshadowing that I want to look back at. Hell, the whole murder chapter, Jesus Christ. Like, even I was like, okay, I'm not that subtle, but they're saying, I did it with the bat, and I'm like, yep.
I'm trying to think. There was a whole lot of, like, it was just like board games or playground games. This is about Keiichi falling into a routine. And there's a regular routine. Sometimes they have some off days where it's like we can't make it, we can't do it for this reason or that. But they have a regular routine, and they bond together as a group in many different ways. Obviously, the relationship with Keiichi and Satoko is
it's kind of like
it's big brotherly. I'll say it like that.
Yeah, that's the vibe I got too. It's like that's how like older brother would tease his little sister, and how she would put thumbtacks on his chair and on his door.
She is vicious.
Jesus Christ,
the meanest motherfucker.
But you gotta love it.
Yeah, like they talk about later that when Renna went there, there's like, yeah, I remember I sat in the chair. There was a thumbtack. I went through it too.
And also this was something that was revealed in the second half, but at one point she was saying like that Mion used to suck ass at these games, and she would eventually just figure out how to cheat really well.
Yep.
And that also pays off in a big way later on.
Yeah, it's just like the most random little lines. They come together.
Absolutely.
Yep, they do.
There's a point at the very in the first chapter, because the pretense of it, but not the beginning, but after that, they're at a funeral. Casey's at a funeral, and at one point he kept hearing somebody. I believe a woman, he said, saying, I'm sorry.
Oh my god. Sorry, I didn't know that.
I wrote that down because, I mean, for me, that felt like this is going to pay off later. But also, for me, it was like, how is he not, like, at the time, obviously, clueless Wash was just, was like, how is he not realizing that, like, she's apologizing to a corpse? And she's just saying, like, how can there be any, it's saying something along the lines like, how can there be anything, how there can't be any mistake, that is irreparable. And it's like,
yeah, I wrote that down too.
There are a couple, namely dead people.
No matter how bad the mistake, it has to be forgiven. I'm like, I literally wrote, it's gonna bite me later in the plot, isn't it?
Exactly. And of course, by the end, we realize what the I'm sorry actually is. But we're not at that point yet. We're still in Happy Funland.
Happy
I liked
Funland.
Happy Funland. Happy Funland was nice.
I don't remember. It was my first time reading through that I like fully picked up on this. But what's very important about these chapters, the classroom scenes, you know, where they're playing board games and trying to metaphorically kill each other. What's important about those, as Wash said, is establishing the routine. What is very important about after the happy fun times is that this is how you learn of Hinamizawa and like the location.
Oh yeah.
You learn where Keishi's house is. Rena is on the way to the high school. They walk a certain point. They meet up with Mion at the certain fork in the road. Then they can go to the school. Then you take this turn, takes to the shrine where Rika and Satsuko live. You take this turn, leads you to a forest. If you go further through there, it'll take you to the dumpster where Rena dumpster dives for how cute things like Colonel Randy. But you learn. It's less about learning and just more about feeling like you're actually there. Not as much as it's not, relate to the main character so you feel like you're really into it. It's, you know, the layout of the town. You know where everything is. You know how everybody acts. You know, you kind of feel like you're a part of it, which is kind of the whole thing that made Keiichi initially feel welcome and then not so welcome.
Yeah, especially that pays off in like the 11th chapter, where suddenly like he has to figure out his way. Oh no, there's the final chapter maybe, where he actually had to figure out his way through via a fork in the road. Like he just went down a street, he has no idea where he is, and he just kind of just stumbles through, and then suddenly, now I know where we are.
I'm just trying to think about.
There are so many things that we've gone through for this, and it's actually, even before I had the idea of doing Higurashi for this podcast, I think like Onward was the first time that I thought about this that far back. Specifically, Wash says this a lot, but random too. But it's just like, you know, it's the world of whatever we're talking about, and it's like it could be so much better. And I always, whenever I think about world building, I always think about Higurashi. It's always what I think about, because so much goes into, again, locations, directions, the landscape, the routine, the characters, their relationship. Obviously, we haven't seen everything yet. This is first of 8, but it's important to just, you know, nail stuff like that right away.
Oh yeah, and honestly, it's technically a different medium from everything else, so you are able to explain a lot more through a visual novel than you are with, like, say, a movie or theater production, because you are able to get those details in. Because I treated Higurashi kind of like a book, which appropriate, I believe.
A book with sound.
And how, like, a book with sound, pretty much, an audiobook, if you will.
Today's episode is sponsored by Audible. What's that audiobook? Audible. Today's episode is sponsored by Audible. Higurashi on Audible. Oh no.
Yeah. But anyway, to go slightly off topic, there are actually moments that were kind of funny.
Well, that's not off topic. Like, we're talking about, you know, happy fun time.
One of the chapters that stands out to me was, I think, chapter 4.
Zombie Tag?
The game. No. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Chapter. Wait, what is it?
Well, which game was it?
Chapter 5.
When they were playing President, that game?
Yeah, and they basically had to do like penalties out of a hat. And they set it all up to just like where Kishi is just winning constantly. But first you see Mio, who...
Just add an N to the end. It's Mio, and you keep calling her Mio.
I'm sorry. At first it starts with Mion, who loses, who has to pet the head of the bald principal, and
what is it, Jiu-Jitsu master?
Yeah, he's the real deal.
Yeah, and at first I'm like, okay, how's this gonna go? And literally you just hear like sound effects of just stock kung fu sound effects ever, but they're funny.
Yes, I agree.
And then you just see Mion just go, all right, is that good enough? And she's just like beaten up. I'm like, okay. And then Kishi keeps winning, and everything just becomes the book. He develops his own harem a bit. I believe he uses that word.
That was the word, yes, harem.
And then like Rika's wearing cat ears. Rina is undresses, but thankfully is only in her gym outfit, and all this shit that like basically. And then Kishi eventually loses, and guess what his penalty is?
Everything.
All. And I'm just like that. Now that's where the comedy comes in. And I just thought it was great that he not only has to wear all this shit and do all this shit but it also makes the payoff of the principle work even more. And I just love how that part of the chapter ends. And I'm like, that was genuinely hilarious, and I did not expect that from this game.
One of the laughs that I like the most is that when Rena and Rika are by themselves, and Rena doesn't know that Rika's a zombie, but then she starts coming up to her, and Rena's looking around desperately for help, and then she's just like, Keiichi, help me! And then everyone's like, oh my god, there he is, get him!
And she's like, sorry!
Yeah, she just like runs away. Like, oh, that Rena.
And just as she's about to get zombified, the bell rings, because Kishi gets distracted by like how cute she is or some shit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's like, are you ready? And she's like, if it's you, it's okay. And it's like,
oh, my heart. And I'm just like, oh, the ship. Like,
Satsuko's just like, you idiot.
You fell for it. I'm like, but
it was I'm pretty sure this is how they say it in the visual novel. Satsuko and Rika give Keiichi the death of 1,000 tickles.
That sounds right. And
it's like Wash was saying before. It's like, that's just part of the routine. That's just like,
yeah,
they're weird. They're all really weird, but it's just like, that's how it is.
That's how it is. That's how they are. Oh, if there's anything, this book made me want to play some card games.
I want to try zombie tag.
Yeah.
Like, you play a game of tag where, you tag somebody and then they're also it. It's literally the same thing, except instead of being it, you're a zombie. No, so I want to play tag the way that they play tag. Like, a student comes up and is like, hey, has anybody seen Keiichi? His mom's in the front of the building. He's looking for him. Oh no, has someone seen Keiichi? His house burnt down.
Hey, somebody seen Keiichi? He's a big pervert.
Oh god, we need to tell Rina that she is the savior of humankind.
And all the kids are running up to her. She's like, what are you talking about? Do anything it takes to win.
Yeah,
like the card game that they play with the old cards. So everybody except for Keiichi knows what the card numbers are, and he just has to like desperately try.
Oh my god, I remember that. And I was like, this seems very unfair. But also, because I would be pissed if I was playing that card game. But at the same time, it makes it more challenging. And what was the penalty for that again?
They wrote something on his face.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. That wasn't too bad. Could have been worse.
They never revealed what was on his face either. I thought there's gonna be a moment where they like look in the mirror and he say like, oh, there's some like they drew a penis.
Oh my god! I mean, would you put it past Neon though?
No, not at all.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like Neon.
Oh,
like one of her first lines of dialogue is a dick joke.
Satsuko would get bothered by Erika. She's like, who cares?
Yeah. I was just gonna say the chapters also do a good job of like establishing each of the girls as like individual characters, especially Mion and Rina, at least the facade of them, maybe.
So you're not wrong. I fully agree. What Higurashi does that, God, I can't tell you how many. I don't even want to say like visual novels or anime, like freaking like art still has this problem, but they do a really good job of characterizing Keiichi too.
Yeah, I agree.
He has personality traits, he has wants, he has desires, he has good traits, he has bad traits, he's a character.
He is, and a lot of people don't get that. A lot of people don't get that right.
He's a dick.
He is a dick. Oh my god, he teases Rena so much, and I'm just like,
Like from the start, like he would not let Rena alone. Just with all the stuff, like just going into a web of sarcasm and stuff, and just like
teasing.
Like even in the second half, when he was starting to be more suspicious of his friends, like Mion called up and he pretended to be his dad, just to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's nice to meet you." So,
Idiot.
yeah.
And Rena usually falls for it too, because like at least Mion will fight back and tease back and as well. But first off, Rena or Rena?
Rena. It's Rena. They have a whole thing where it's like it's specifically Rena.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Rena. One of the tips. We could just talk about the tips too.
Rena, basically, she's not the teaser. She will blush at everything and everything. There's literally one point where, I think it was like the second chapter where they're trying to like see who can get apples from Rena.
Yep.
And literally, Kishi, I don't even remember what he says, but it just causes the inverted filter to come out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, yep, that worked. Which, by the way, that's another tool that's like strangely effective. Like it's great for the funny moments, but there's like literally one point, I think it was chapter 3 where I literally, one note I had is the inverted is not used for comedy. Repeat, the inverted is not used for comedy.
No, he gets a lot of comedic applications of I don't know how to describe it, things.
Yeah,
he uses a lot of tools. I appreciate that. You know, it's not the same joke over and over.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah,
because it could easily fall into that trap.
Mm-hmm. Wash has been a bit quiet, so
understandable.
So what do you have to add, buddy?
I'm trying to think. Like, I feel like I should say something substantial, but instead, what I have to say that there was a certain point that was it had to be an anachronism. I'm sure this was just the author plugging in like an inspiration. But at one point, Casey makes a reference about like if they get trapped on an island with explosive collars, which is very clearly a battle royale reference, which came out in 1999. And this came out and this was set in 1984.
Yeah, no, he talks about fighting game stuff at 1.2, and fighting game Street Fighter wasn't until 1987, and Street Fighter 2, when fighting games became a real thing, was the 90s.
that was the thing that it took a long while. It really wasn't until the mention of the dam, the brutal murder, that we actually get a specific date, and even then it takes until I think like chapter 6 that we get a specific date, 1984.
Well, at the beginning, when I mean it's not an exact date, but we do get a year at the very beginning. It does say I think it's 1983. But we do get the year. Mm-hmm. It's once we get closer to the festival, that's when we find out it's specifically June.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. So and like it feels very timeless overall. The one of the only things that I mean, obviously nobody has cell phones.
Yeah. Keiichi has a wireless receiver. That's kind of a big deal.
Not only that, but like. He makes the point about when he entered. Obviously, this is the second half. He makes the point about like when he enters Oishi's car, and he was like, "Wow, this car has air conditioning."
Specifically, this is a thing that Higurashi fans, especially right now, I don't know why, but like if you know Higurashi, you know Oishi says, "Let's talk in my air conditioned car." Like it will always be relevant. It will just always be relevant. He has an air conditioned car.
It's a great
But I really love the air conditioned car because it's so cold and rigid out there, and then and then out in Hinamizawa it's so hot.
Obviously, this is for the second half, but that definitely gives the location more of a foreboding energy with just stepping out into a not air conditioned car, and suddenly everything just feels oppressive. But again, that's second half.
Yeah,
I guess the only thing with the first half that we haven't really talked about yet would be Tomotake. But
yeah, I was about to say, I really like his role in this because he's technically the one from the very beginning that introduces Kishi to the fact that something is wrong in this town.
Yeah, because Kishi's an idiot and he tells a random stranger that they're looking for an arm. Moron.
No, it's like
no, that's what happens. Tomotake is like, "Oh, is that your friend?" And Kichi's like, "Yeah, she might be searching for one of those missing arms." Oops, I wasn't talking to one of my friends, idiot. And that's when Tomotake says, "Here, they're still missing one." And that's what gets Keiichi suspicious. That the next time that they're there, when Rena runs off to get the tea, he searches for the tabloid magazine and finds the article about the dismemberment, which leads into everything.
Yep. So,
well, not only, like even before the magazine, there's a he asks her directly, like, "Would did something happen?" And she just flat out says, like, quickly, "No."
Same with Mion.
Nothing happened. And that helps a bit to just to like to stun you a bit, like, because it's like right there, like, Rena isn't acting as she usually is.
Yeah,
there's something different going on here, and it's
very subtle, but it's there.
Yeah.
I think literally like a few minutes after she goes back to being regular Rena. And
yeah, she's like skipping along and still like.
Yeah. And honestly, I was too distracted by the shipping moments to even care.
I know, me too. Rena and Colonel Randy. How? I like Tomotake's role in the story a lot, not only for all the reasons that Random was talking about, but also the guy's a dork.
Yeah, he's a dork, and he's like super shy. There's one point where he and Mion banter, and he's just like losing terribly.
Oh, it's worse than how like Keiichi does against her. Like he just doesn't know what to say. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'll go. Bye."
And I was like, "Oh, they know each other. Interesting."
Was when he looked into the tabloid, and he finds out about the murder, and then at the end of the chapter, there's the tips, where it goes into the details and establishes a little bit on it, and then at the very end, it just suddenly has like goofy music.
The advertisement.
Buy the Jin Dragon bracelet for only 27,800 yen. That was a little too much, at least for this this particular moment. That one felt a bit missed to me, but to each their own. I don't know. And again, that also comes in like the second half, where like Oishi is like saying some really grim tale when they're discussing the case, and then all of a sudden he says, "Give me 4 cream puffs, jumbo." Like, what the fuck?
Literally, one of my notes was, "I want some cream puffs."
I want some cream puffs. Okay, so we could either start talking about the festival, because we have been going on.
Let's just get into
the festival.
The festival. Okay,
the festival.
There's 2 different halves of the festival. There's Happy Festival and there's Not Happy Festival.
Yeah.
There's not too much on the outset to say about the festival. I'm sure Random was having a heart attack of shipping moment.
Oh my god, that whole
I think that's kind of when everybody does.
It is the perfect romantic comedy moment, and I'm just like, oh, please. There's even a line where Ichi goes, "What am I doing? I should probably just stop going around and tell her how I feel," basically. And I'm just like, yes, you finally took me 6 chapters, but damn it. And then it's this whole little nice thing, and it's just like, everyone's trying so hard to get the bear, and you even have the moment where Tomotake is like, "I'll get it for Reed." I'm like, "Don't you fucking dare! Don't you dare steal!" don't you dare ruin this ship, you'll be dead. And I'm like, I regretted putting that note in later. Oh God. And it's just like a whole nice moment. It's really cool because they're still competing, they're still having fun, they're still doing their usual routine.
I love the same thing happens to Keiichi in the first half, but when Tomotake asks what the club members do, they all give like these wild, exaggerated responses, and Rika's just like, we play games with each other.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, she's the only one that can actually that's actually gonna tell him what the hell is going on.
I love Rika.
This is nothing. This is not a critique. It's just something that like, especially as it was like in the first along the first half, they were mentioning the festival more and more, and it just got me thinking, like, are festivals really that big of a deal in Japan?
Yes.
Or is it something like American movies where it's like the pep rally or the school prom means everything?
At a younger age, festivals are a bigger deal.
Okay, oh, that's fair.
It's like pre-adulthood once your life is quote unquote done forever, as is the case of Norm in Japan. when you're still young and happy, festivals are a much bigger deal.
Yeah. So for them, it was
fair,
a big thing.
Fair.
And then there was a half of that, and then things. Yeah. So you see, Rika carrying this like big hoe, I think they describe it as.
Yeah, it's a large hoe.
It's yes. And she's like doing the shrine thing, and it's like it's kind of serious, and then they go out and they do something where they like with the cotton, and they're like taking away all their sins or some shit, and it's just like, oh great, another cute moment with Rina. And then they get separated, and then the conversation happens.
The conversation.
First, by the way, a note I put, another character, she's not in the box art. And again, Tomotake is the one who unveils the wool from Kichi's eyes.
Every time reading this always gets me, even though obviously I've read this like 7 times already. When Keiichi's just asking him about the dismemberment and he explains everything, Keiichi's like, all right, I'm good. And then he starts talking about the fact that there's more. Like this whole time, you've been thinking, oh, somebody's arm got dismembered, and like that's it. But it's like you're scratching the surface on this. There's so much more.
So much more.
Like the arm scenario, that was the, for lack of a better term, progenitor of everything. Yeah. It's not the start, because as you go into it, like it turns out the town itself is haunted. It's haunted as ass. but like that was like the, oh shit.
Yeah,
Yep. Things are not quite what they seem.
And he's like going through, and the great line was like, he's talking about, oh, what happened next year? Oh, what happened next year? Next year, and then they just look. That's today.
Yes.
Can I just say, I don't know if this line happened. I think it happens when they're writing the t-shirts, or something happens. But someone says the line, "I'm gonna end up dead last," and I think that's Tomotake. And I literally just went, "Oh no!" Because I'm like,
he's dead weight.
Yeah. Oh, that's Shaun of the Dead. I get that.
Yeah. Deleted scene, Shaun of the Dead.
Edgar Wright.
Yeah.
I was about to say Edgar Wright's Spective never dies. Oh boy.
But yeah, that line caught me off, and I was just like, this isn't too important of a chapter. That's gotta be obvious foreshadowing. That's gotta be.
Well, here's something that's like, it's cute at the moment, and then it's just like, oh fuck no, was because they're talking about, like, Tomotake is talking about like how he visits every year and such, and he's thinking like, I probably don't want to live here, like it's far away from everything, there's not that many shops around here, like Keiichi said something along the lines of, there isn't much of anything here, but there are lots of things you can't find anywhere else. And at the time, that's like, oh, he's home.
But yeah.
Now we know, and I'm like, oh no.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
There are lots of things, lots of people you can't find anywhere else, and you're never gonna find them again.
And I remember thinking the whole time, like, something's gonna happen tonight. Something's gonna happen tonight. Please don't let anything bad happen to Rena. That's the only thing I was saying. I was like, don't let the ship die. And then as soon as the next chapter happened, I saw Rena, and I was like, oh, thank fuck, everything's fine.
Yeah, I mean, even
What?
that, if we're going to talk about the tips, there's the one where, as we find out, it's Oishi, pulls up to where a dead body was, someone, as they're saying, oh, I hope nothing happens tonight. No, something happened. And I love the way that it's formatted. The way the tips are formatted is that you already know everything about the dismemberment. So they have information about the second incident, then the third, then the fourth. Even though there's nothing there, they have the fourth, and then they lay the groundwork for the fifth. I love the way that they did that, or he did that, whatever.
Oh, you're talking about with the the police report.
Yeah, on the victims for year 2, year 3, year 4, and then Oishi pulls up to year 5 and sees that, as we find out, Tomotake died.
Yeah.
Rip that beautiful man.
Yes. What was it? Basically, this is where the murder mystery thing happens. Because they're playing like their version of Clue. And I'm like, oh shit.
Well, that was, you should have been happy, Random. That was another shipping moment between Keiichi and Rena.
It was. They were going to be like, we're going to work together to beat Mio. And I'm like, oh, yeah, let's do that. Let's do it. And then the teacher was like, you got a visitor. And I'm like, fuck. And then you get the moment where you're going.
Are we now talking about the second half?
Well, I mean, I guess we're talking about the second half now. We're done with the festival, right?
I guess.
Is there anything else you had to say about the festival?
Yeah, is there anything else?
No, I think like now we're getting deep into it.
Yeah,
Let's
second half
go.
time.
And then at first I'm like, why are you going into the stranger's car?
Well, you gotta realize it's Oishi's air-conditioned car.
Good point. and then Oishi just drops the ball that, do you know Tomotake, or do you know this man? And then then my heart dropped.
Yeah. Everyone's favorite dork is dead.
Yeah. Not only is he dead, but how he died.
Yeah, graphic.
Oh my god, the most graphic thing we've covered in the podcast.
Thing is, we say murder. This is technically not a murder.
It's not.
Yeah, this is. Good grief! This is like the most unimaginable thing of like a man was. I'm just gonna say it, like scratched himself to death.
Yeah,
just using his own nails and just in some sort of flight of hysteria, like suddenly just tearing himself apart, literally.
I'm never gonna try to claw my own throat out, but like, your neck gets itchy at times. You scratch your neck, and that's like barely fine, right? You go easy on your neck because you don't do that to your neck.
No, not unless you were like,
oh, you were having a fit of hysteria, and you scratched your neck open.
Yeah, and the woman was missing, so just like in the legend, someone dies and someone goes missing, and it happened.
Oh boy! For the 5th year in a row.
Yep. And that's when Keiichi got paranoid.
Yeah.
Like, I literally wrote, oh god, he's gonna die. He's dead. That's when I knew he's probably gonna die.
Give him some credit, he lasted a while.
He did. He lasted a goddamn while, and he did everything he could. In the end, it doesn't even matter, but he did it. The murder game was foreshadowing, especially after that incident. And then that's when the cream puffs, like literally, they lost. They go shopping together. The death is most intriguing. I want cream puffs. Those are my notes. Shit gets real. And then throughout the whole time, This is the start where Ichi's routine is just goes into a downward spiral. Starting subtly with his lack of sleep.
I mean, if I found out that a man I had just had a long conversation with about the curse of this town died, like, within an hour of me talking to him.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd be able to sleep either.
I would not. I would probably be in the same position. You would see me with a bat not in a few days from now.
I like.
Hey, I'm just going for the little league. That's
just practicing my swing.
I mean, I'll give Keiichi benefit. Like, I get it, but you know, he sleeps through Satsuko. Like, how do you do that?
Oh my god! And just how he just slowly becomes more and more suspicious of his friends for good reason, mind you.
Yeah, but you see, like, over time. But the longer time goes on, you know, the more he suspects. That's the word.
Chapter 8 was really like that is what I like to call the lies episode. Because that's the point where it's like, this is no longer something in his head. This has gone to shit.
Yes. Yep. When she shouts, you're lying.
Lies!
The moment there was a moment where he just says frankly,
are you guys keeping things from me? Yeah, because that the whole thing that makes him suspect them is that they're not telling him everything.
And the thing is that, like, she's a little surprised, and he pushes on it, and for half a second, we see a brand new model of Rena looking angry.
Yep. And then
never seen that before.
And
then after that, you see that thing again, and then suddenly he got new contacts.
Yeah. The eyes,
contacts.
I was watching this late at night when that happened, and I literally messaged Kirby fan. I didn't even care. There was one point where I literally messaged Kirby fan, screen capped the eyes, and just went, ah!
Every time you sent me that, I read that in your voice. Your specific, ah! Like that specific kind.
That was the first time we saw a hit of Rena's dark side, and it scared me because I was like, the ship is sunk, it's gone. But it still came in a couple points. But that was the moment where I was like, oh no.
Yeah, and thing is, that wasn't even the end of the chapter, because then he goes home. He gets a phone call, the first phone call with Oishi, and Oishi mentioned something about the house, the guy who killed the housewife in the third year. That at some point he choked on a spork, and the choice of that was weird to me. I don't know if that's just a localization thing, but just like spork is a comedy word. And, But really, the thing was, like, at the end of that chapter,
good old Timmy Turner's dad.
Keiichi's dad is like, hey, Jimbo, I got you some tea for your friend.
Oh yeah, Jimbo, Rena was here just a little while ago, and I don't.
She was here an hour ago.
And she just went up there and kind of left. I don't know what you're doing with the ladies there, Jimbo, but I don't know if it's working
on, Sean.
Keep working on it, son. I'm gonna go with my duck collection now.
Nice Midwestern accent Japanese man.
It is canon now that
you can't talk about murder things, son. They're big people things, son.
It's canon now that Ichi's dad is now Jimmy Neutron's father.
It's huge Neutron.
His name isn't Keiichi. It's not Keiichi Maibra. It's Keiichi Neutron.
Yes.
the mochi chapter, but with pie. And you're just like, no! Why did you waste the pie, son?
Instead of art and paintings, he's making ducks.
People pay thousands for the ducks.
She has a whole duck museum.
Hey, Jimbo, I gotta go to Tokyo for the day.
You have to go to Tokyo to fix its duck collection. Okay.
All right.
But on the bright side, but back to the serious stuff. Holy shit, she was there the entire time.
I really like when Keiichi's dad comes in. It's like, oh, the happy music. Like, we were talking about this before, I think. There's the happy music. He's like, oh, Keiichi, you stud. And then when he says Rena was standing outside the door, that's it. Scary music.
Yep, it's gone. Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Hugh.
No problem, Jimbo. Okay, we're done. We're done with that joke for now. That's when I was like, oh shit. And we didn't mention this before, but this came to my mind. Throughout the almost all beginning chapter, they made jokes of Rena taking people and things home. And that alert, that went off in my brain that moment. I was like, oh no. Oh no, what if she's responsible for the missing people?
They're just in her house.
I knew it wasn't that exactly, but just like, that has to be some sort of reference to something. Or just like, they mention it so many times that it becomes a running joke. And it's just like...
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a joke anymore.
So, I'm assuming most of what you think the standout scenes are from the second half. I'm assuming. Any that come to mind just as, like...
The diner scene with
the Uishi.
Yeah. Where we learn how... every single one of Kishi's friends is related to one of the murders in some way, shape, or form.
Yep.
And that Rena was originally from
Hinamizawa, yes.
And she broke the windows
thank you.
of a school she was at and claimed that Orishiro-sama did it and made her do it. And I'm just like, oh no. And then...
oh, yes, you got a diagnosis of dysautonomia?
I forget what the exact thing that they labeled her with, but she went through therapy and then afterwards moved back.
And this is the whole time where Kishi's sick and misses school for the first time in the whole game. This is the part where he actually doesn't go to school. And then this is where the call where that, like, I think this is where where Mion calls him, and that's when they pretend to be his dad, some shit, which is funny. And then that was a whole great. There's some good wholesome energy as Rena's sweet and delivering food, and Mion's being Mion and being the dirty old man that she is. And then the famous question is asked:
what did you have for lunch?
What? What did you have for lunch? Was it good?
Yeah.
And then the same eyes you see from Rena.
The same glassiness, yes.
They're on Mion. And I'm like, no!
Yeah, Hinamizawa has very similar looking contacts.
They're very.
Yeah. And you know what? I vibe with them.
Oh, yeah, vibe. That's the word.
That's the good. And then at this point, he eats the...
Mion said something along the lines of, I'd hate it if you didn't show up tomorrow.
And I'm like, that's not a love letter. That is a threat. To quote him.
That's not a love letter.
I mean, we get the real threat a little bit later in that chapter.
Oh, we do. When he has the mushi. And
when he gets the pie.
and he bites into one of his dad's ducks.
AKA a fucking needle. Which, holy shit. That's terrifying. And he literally just throws the mochi pie out into the open.
I love that he just writes a note on the fridge of a house where other people live that it's like, is there a needle?
Yeah.
And that's just it. Like, it doesn't help anybody with anything.
Like, when that happened, like, when he threw it away and then went up to his room, immediately I thought, You idiot, that's evidence.
Yes, and it comes back to bite him in the ass later.
Even Oishi's like, hey, idiot, did you save the needle?
Yeah. Like, literally.
Like, no, I threw it on the wall and just left it there.
I introduced another friend to this, and this part specifically, they just couldn't take seriously because they understood the whole freak out. But specifically, Keiichi just grabbing the food and throwing it at the wall was like a little much.
Yeah, I mean, he is a teenager. He doesn't know how to deal with his emotions, especially with that, something that's traumatic. But he also was basically, that's where he goes into denial. I was like, they're not gonna kill me. This was just a warning. It's fine. And I'm like,
it's all just one wacky misunderstanding.
You fucking moron.
Like he was saying, like, it's not their fault. It wasn't their fault. It wasn't their fault. Like he's gone full into like Stockholm syndrome, where he's so terrified that he's just trying his best to survive in this awful situation. Like he was ready to just forget everything and just ask, like, just join the club again and just join in on the fun. It never happens.
Nope. Never does.
It can never happen. I think he was close to it with the mochi, like when he was like eating the mochi and he was like thinking like I'll just have to forget about this, and then he was just like, huh, that's weird.
That's odd.
Hey, that looks a lot like a sewing needle. Wait, what did I just say? He said like it looks an awful lot like a sewing needle, but as we find out at the very end, there was something that they did to Tomotake. So it's making me wonder, was that actually a sewing needle, or was that a different kind of needle?
I will neither confirm nor deny. I've been waiting this whole time to say that. It doesn't even make too much sense, but it's just like, I haven't been able to say it yet. I want to say it.
I'm going to say, as of now, it was a regular sewing needle, but it's very heavily implied that it couldn't have been as well. So.
And it's not like it's not Tabasco sauce.
I'm going to say...
And that's what he says later on. He's like, it wasn't just Tabasco sauce.
Yeah. Later on in the scene, that is excellent.
I just thought it was a prank.
A big prank, bro. A big prank, bro.
We'll get to that scene. We're not there yet.
Mion is absolutely the type of person who would say epic prank, bro.
Yeah. What happens later in the scene? This is where he starts to like go to school earlier. He starts doing everything against his routine at this point.
Oh, no. The mochi, he was still trying to just make things seem like they were normal. He wasn't. He was still under the impression that, like, hey, so long as, I pretend everything's normal, things will stay normal. But then they started asking him about the mochi and everything, and that's when he was just like, no.
This is one of those things where the filter was very helpful. With scaring the living shit out of me. Because everything's so fine, and with Rena, and it feels like it's gonna be great. She's like, "Did you enjoy the moochie?" Just everything. You literally hear like
the shattering sound. That's when there's like that glass break, right?
Yep. And like every thought of like, oh, things might go back to normal is gone.
So Random talked about the mochi scene. What about you, Watch? What scene do you have to pick out?
I mean, there's stuff that we'll bring up as we go along. I do eventually want to get into depictions of mental illness, because I'm not sure how I feel about that with this story. But I feel we can get to that a little bit later in. I like chapter 10 was a little bit lighter. Not lighter. It's just that there wasn't as much going on as the earlier stuff. Casey's mom at one point says wellness is a state of mind. Like,
it's how the average person over in glorious Japan land, like that's just the mentality that everybody kind of has.
Yeah. Something that's gonna be. It's a foreshadowing bit. It's the he's dead weight.
He's dead weight, Sean.
But like, yeah, chapter 10 doesn't have as much, except at the very end in the tips, we see the conversation that Rena and Mion have, where she mentions that Oishi is the messenger of Oyashiro, Oyashiro-sama.
Oh, Yashiro, you were close.
Yashiro. Yashiro. It's the emphasis that I have.
That's typically how it normally is.
The messenger of Yashiro, and I thought this was foreshadowing for like that he's in on this.
Yeah, same here.
It's really just it's really more that it's the foreshadowing of like they really freaking hate him.
Yeah.
Because they talk about how when he visited Rika's mom, then she died, and when they visited Satoshi, that was when he died.
No, hey, he transferred.
Yeah, that's it. He was transferred, and Mion said, "Transfer? You're too sweet." Like, did Rena not know what happened? Or did she? Would she not at that mode?
I will neither confirm nor deny. No.
There we go. I was expecting that.
I
love saying that.
I think the big thing really is chapter 11 because
wait, hold on. Wasn't chapter 10 where he talks to his parents about dying and they're just like,
can
what
you
the
put
fuck?
a clock in my coffin?
Yeah. I really like that clock. No, like whenever I think of chapter 10, I always think of when Keiichi gets up early, arrives, finds the bat, which we find out whose bat that was later on, and that's big. But when he goes to get the bat, Satsuko and Rika come in. They're like, "Oh my god!" Satsuko says, "You're filled with mud." Yeah, I got something happened on the way. I have to change. So he starts to get changed. Satsuko freaks out. She storms off, and Rika's just like, she's just chilling there. Keiichi says, "Why aren't you leaving?" At least Satsuko has to leave because she's a lady. I'm not a lady yet. Keiichi says, "You're a lady. Get out." And she gets so happy. She's like, "I'm a lady."
Well, that was chapter 11.
I thought that was chapter 11.
That was.
Oh, it is chapter 11.
That was chapter 11.
Yeah.
Chapter 10 was when he planned to steal the bat, but chapter 11 was when he actually stole the bat.
Okay.
And also at one point, like right before she left, she said, "Don't lose that bat."
Yes, which is also very important.
Leaves.
And you know what's also important before that?
The time.
No, Keshi gets hit by a car.
Yes, he gets hit by a car.
Hit one, yes.
Or almost does.
Almost does, yeah.
Almost gets hit by a white van.
Yes.
And again, this is the other moment where he's like screaming at this, and this whole time I'm thinking, look at the plate.
Yeah. And again, Oishi says, "Did you get the plate number, idiot?" And he's like, "Oh.
No, I was too busy swearing profanities at it." That was the productive thing to do.
Yeah, the productive thing to do.
And yeah, but it's like, that was like, oh shit, it's not just the girls.
Yeah, it's people driving vans.
The greater good. Anyway,
it was Rika behind the van. With the tiny, like, she can't see she can't really see above the steering wheel.
She wasn't trying to kill him. She's just too short.
Yeah.
She's too short, exactly. They didn't give her a booster seat. She put a brick on the gas pedal. Yeah, so that's why she just.
And then after that, like, there's the first walk home. There's like the walk home where she starts to pick up on what's really revealed later is that, oh, who's following him? Oh, it's just Rena. And that's when it's revealed about the bat.
Yeah, whose bat it was.
Satoshi's bat. And that's when I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, this whole time he's like, oh, I'm doing everything I can. I'm doing it my way. And it turns out the whole time he's playing himself for a fiddle.
Yep. It's all going according to plan. It's all been done before. And what I like about the scene is that it's also it's suspenseful, but also makes me feel really, really bad for Rena. Like, I want them. Like, this could be the ship in me. But I'm like, God damn it, just get along.
That's the thing about Higurashi. Like, and again, I know part of this is just because I've read it so many goddamn times. But you two are saying like, oh, it's scary, the horror, all that stuff. But like, at the end of the day, it's just like, this is really goddamn sad.
It is.
This is a sad story with a very sad ending.
Even Satoko is like, what the fuck?
We're getting close, but now it's like, and then
well, it's like because we're still on chapter 11, right?
And there's
and that was the point where she like came home.
Oh, that whole scene. Whole scene where she knew, but the novel was like not letting us know exactly. It was not saying that she knew, but we knew she knew, and she knew she knew, and for some reason Kishi didn't know that she knew. But it was so tense. And then that's where we get the returning routine of I'm sorry.
Yeah, when the kettle ignites and he closes the door, but it won't shut because her fingers are in the way.
Yep.
And she's just screaming like, I'm sorry. And she's just, then he goes back upstairs, continues the call, and then out in the window, he sees Rena's chewing. No, wait. She's mouthing something. What is she mouthing? And she says that out loud, like on the phone, like, I'm sorry. And always she's like, what?
No, she's like, are you there?
What the fuck? Hello? After that, there's three major moments that happen. One of them being is the confrontation with Mion, and then the chase. And that's all I'll mention for now.
Oh, God, that's a lot for me to cut out post edit.
I would dead Tomotake.
Wait, what did I just say?
I mean, my favorite part of the whole book is Rena at the door. Like out of the whole of chapter 1. Really, it's probably one of my favorite parts of the whole thing.
And it wasn't even the end. You had a confrontation with Mion, which was brilliantly done, by the way, because it's one of the only times you see Mion like vulnerable ever.
Yeah, she's actually like flustered because she's trying to do the same thing that Rena does of just trying of like she's saying, oh well, we can like go inside and like heat this up, and it's got like fresh vegetables in here, and I feel like we can do this my way, and like Mion is trying to do the same thing, but she's failing really hard at it. And it seems like she's like really vulnerable, and then like she's crying, and then like Casey walks away, and just like I really like the description of it, where it's just like the entire air it's like gravity shifting onto Mion. He's just saying like, I'm gonna fucking kill Uishi. He's fucking dead.
I'm like, Jesus. Oh, he's dead. I'm surprised he wasn't dead by the end of the play. The end of the book.
There's a point where they're talking about a taxi cab where Uishi or maybe his like a coworker. Like they're having a conversation about something, and they're going on a taxi cab, and I was genuinely thinking like, and you never see him again. I genuinely.
Would you like to come in? I have an air conditioned taxi.
And then the chase scene happens where you get all the filters.
I'm looking at the message that Random sent me. It's just red. It's just like the opacity is lowered on a solid red. Random sent me that and went, ah!
It's an even longer screen.
Yeah, even longer screen.
Yeah, and it's with Rena with the like not smiling, but like the passive look with the eyes, and that's fucking terrifying. And
we see her get mad again too.
And I'm like, you do. You see her do the lies. And just like, oh, no.
Carrying the hatchet, like I knew from the start that was going to be...
Oh, yeah, because they referenced that in the early beginning, because he's like, oh, I was startled to see Rena with that hatchet. It's weird to see her with that walking around. People are gonna think that's weird. And then I'm like, and then this chapter I'm like, oh my god, it's Dead by Daylight, and we're playing against Huntress. What's happening? You guys aren't gonna get that joke, are you? But it's okay. We have this wholesome moment between Rena where she's nursing him back to health, and of course, Kishi lets his guard.
You say wholesome. I wouldn't. The fact that this is the very first time you see Rena this freaking close to me.
I know. Oh, I was
nothing
I was on alert, but also like 10% of me was like, "Is this like?" It was like the life reserve on the ship, just being like, "I'm gonna be okay. It's gonna still happen. It's gonna be okay." And then Mion comes in, and everything seems to be fine. And then Mion takes a needle and pokes the life reserve, and everybody sinks in that ship, and it's all downhill.
Yeah, that's what Kichi was doing at the start.
She says like, "Hey, we're gonna get the doctor in here. Oh, good. Do you have everything ready for the director?" And it's like, who's the director? And they're just like, the director, like a movie director or a construction foreman.
And then that's when then the needle comes out, and that's
another thing is that like the needle, it was really just like him, because he was blacked out, and then she's thinking back to like. Like when I was like, don't you remember like you I was trying to pick you up and you said, oh, I can walk. You don't like, no, I don't remember that. And it's like, well, what happened before that? Oh, I got chased by that mob. What happened before?
Ooh, I'm not gonna mention that part to her because right now we're at good Rin. Then after that part of the chapter, Kishi wakes up from the blackout, and his friends are dead. I felt sad. I knew it was the right thing to do, but I felt sad.
Wash?
They were gonna poison him and make him kill himself?
I know, but also the ship is dead.
Well, I mean, in fairness, he wound up killing himself anyway, so...
Yeah, that's true, because he winds up writing a whole... note at the end that he puts behind the clock, because of course, with the needle, and then he just winds up getting chased, and then it switches to Uishi's point of view in the story, because this almost the whole time, other than some like tips, it's been through Kishi's point of view. Yeah. Now it's with Uishi's the detective, and you hear Kishi in the phone booth just like vomiting uncontrollably, crying.
That's another one. Wash. You heard that with the voice acting.
Yeah. Oh no. You hear the vomiting.
And the vomiting. You hear the vomiting, but also like his desperate gasps. Like all of that.
I could have not handled. I'm so glad I didn't do voice. I couldn't have handled that at 4 a.m. I couldn't have done it. I could not have done it.
That's why you watched it at 4 a.m.
I was, and it was bad enough. But if I heard that, I wouldn't have handled that. I'm gonna watch that probably after this. But
it's like that horrible thing, and then it's like, okay, I got one more thing, and it's the bonus episode. It's like, and then I was like, hey, wasn't that pretty fun? Wasn't that fun?
That was fun to act in, but we also we didn't talk about the ending.
Like jokey, and there was like, was that really the killer, or was that the curse? What is everybody like?
No, you know what it is. You know what it is. Pixar perspective never dies. It's like the whole thing with the bloopers, the outtakes, or Toy Story 1, like how the joke is that they're all working in an office together. Like it's Pixar.
Yep. It really is. One thing I'll mention though, and that's interesting to note, which I'm sure will be an important thing later on, was the record of like the case of what happened, like how Kishi murdered the 2 girls.
Oh yes,
and how he left us, he was acting very strange, and they all thought it was just him being like homicidal and suicidal, and that was all it was all premeditated. He was planning all this from the beginning. And then it mentions the note that he wrote, both notes, but separated because there was a piece missing and an empty section of tape where the needle was, but it was gone. And that's where it ends.
Specifically, I really love the closing words because, I mean, when he writes the note, it's just like, hey, whoever's reading this note, find out the truth. But when it's read out in the ending speech, it's no longer just to other characters, it's to you. Like, please keep reading. Find the truth, please. It's really good stuff. Really good stuff.
Really good. And that's it.
Yeah. So I guess not quite final thoughts. I guess we'll get to final thoughts next. What do you think about everything? Do you think a person did it? Do you think it was Oyashiro Osama's curse? Do you take actor Keiichi's perspective and just think that everybody was picking on him?
I'm still of the opinion, and like they're talking about like in the after party, it's like, hey, how come like at the very end he's suddenly saying like there's no human perpetrators? Like, to me, it's like they already established by this point that there is a needle, and that there is a needle, and there's something that they mentioned earlier where they act about like drugs that don't leave a trace. And he said, yeah, something can exist like that. Not that we don't know anything that has this, which is kind of the point of a drug that doesn't leave a trace. And although thing is, you say it doesn't leave a trace. There's one thing that a needle leaves behind, and that's a hole in the skin. Nobody noticed the hole in the skin, huh?
I guess that they could have shot him in the neck, which he tore open.
The roundabout way of saying, like, I'm still under. I'm with the beta testers on this one. I'm team people.
I as much as curses sound cool, I want to say it's Hot Fuzz style, the greater good, and it's people.
Exactly. That was I could not stop thinking of Hot Fuzz doing this.
So I guess last thing before the final thoughts, because this is alongside the music and the sound, this is the other big thing. The characters, what did we think about them generally speaking?
Maybe this is something I can get a better grasp on the second time. Especially with the second half, it was a lot harder to judge these characters, especially with how they were acting at the start, because it is, at least in my view, with the if you think about it in the curses perspective, it's probably easier to mess with it, that it's just like these people have been possessed and they're not who they were. But for me, at the people side, it's suddenly like all those fun and games. Like I had a big suspicion about Rena, mostly because of TV trope.
Of course.
But when Mian said, "What did you have for lunch?" I was like, "Oh, I can't trust anybody." Don't trust anyone, not even yourself.
You trust Tomotake, and he's dead.
For the first half, I was enjoying these characters. They can sometimes get like a bit more stock, like there's like, oh, here's the quiet one, here's the rude one, here's the one that's easily flustered, and here's the cool brass one, and it's like, okay, everybody's got their place in the group. But of course, like by the second half, that turned to shit.
Yeah.
The Rika and Satoko, the only one that like Satoko, weirdly enough, is the only one that made it out like untouched. Rika mostly did, but she has the line, "Don't lose that bat," and of course that comes into play much later.
Yeah.
Although like really like Satoko, because Satoko didn't notice the bat, because like Satoko should have said, "Hey, that's my dead brother's bat.
That's my transferred brother's bat." Excuse you.
Transferred brother's back.
But no, Satsuko didn't notice. Rika noticed, but Satsuko didn't.
So weirdly, like Satoko is the only one that, and also like at a certain point, it's like there's a line somewhere of like neither Rika nor Satoko like even made eye contact. So it was just like at a certain point they just disappeared from the story.
Yeah, they kind of did. And I will say they live, which is nice.
Nice.
But out of the
traumatized.
two, we don't know if they're really the part of it or not. Like according to Uichi, yes, but they're the most innocent of the group, technically.
Yeah, I mean, if you think of Satsuko's relation, it's like her parents died, her aunt died, and her brother went missing.
Like Satoko is the one like for any like natural girl, like this would be like top to bottom trauma. Like so much of your family is gone, and you're like and at this point you're at the age where you cry because you don't know what asparagus is.
Yeah,
like this is fucked up.
I was gonna say the characters are. I like the characters, but again, it's hard to tell if the characters are who they are. By the end, at least the girls. Like again, there's not much of a change between Satoko and Satoko and Rika. They're the same from beginning to end. Mion is basically, she presents her persona as like the cool leader, but really she's also like the brains and knows everything. And when she doesn't, it shows, but like she's always one, to quote a previous show, she's always just one jump ahead.
There you go.
Oh.
And Rena's complicated.
Yeah, that's a way to put it.
I mentioned it earlier. I'm not sure I like how this handles like mental illness, because it's clear that there's like a serious issue going on here, and it's mostly played for horrors. Again, I'm not sure how to feel
I feel like this is one of those. This will pay off later, and if we ask Kirby fan,
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Yep, that's how I have a feeling. I don't. Again, they're dead.
Maybe.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
That's true. That's true. It's a little tough to pay off when you're dead, but I will neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah, which makes me think. But then also, General McNamara was dead, and he came back. So
yeah, so did Emma and
who
Paul.
knows, right? Exactly. I would not be surprised if they came back.
One last thing before we talk about before we get to final thoughts. Mion, let me check my notes here. Chapter 2. They switch Mion to her casual clothes, and she's packing.
She got a gun.
Oh, yeah, she's got.
Not a single time in this entire book did anyone ever point out that
it's not normal carrying around a gun.
The thing is, I look like as soon as I saw that, I like paused and I checked up. Like, gun control is like super stringent in Japan. Like, you can kind of have like a shotgun. You can't have a handgun.
Well, maybe it's a squirt gun.
It could be an airsoft.
Or
exactly.
a BB gun.
It could be a BB gun airsoft.
Well, I can say something. It's the timer. Final thoughts time. Who wants to start?
Oh gosh. I guess I'll start off. This definitely took some time for me. When I think I mentioned before, like when I watched the first chapter and I was like, okay, there's clearly something here. And I'm not sure that it's hooked me so far. But of course, like I said yes, and we went right for it. It was really like by the halfway point. I mean, I was enjoying the some of the games enough. It was if there was like one more game, it would have been like, okay, this is too much. It would have felt monotonous. It's like, this is too much fun.
You're having too much fun.
This is how school should be.
Yeah, Keiji says that when he's like, I'm alone, I'm depressed, this is how school should be.
But like by that halfway point, and well, okay, to be fair, like when the reveal of the dam murder, there's like, okay, there's a mystery here, there's something going on here, and then I was kind of following along mostly because I wanted to see where the mystery was going, and then of course it was just like build right to the very end. There were just like shocking revelations. Like, it's packed. It's very, very packed, very dense. I definitely recommend watching this with the voiceovers so that you can hear the many cackles. I'm not sure. I watched this with the original artwork. It's probably better off with like the more professional grade because, boy, they got some mitts. They got baseball mitts.
I was gonna say the hands.
Higurashi hands are iconic. I don't want to hear any slander.
Anyway,
all right.
Random.
I was more optimistic about this. Like, because I was into it. I saw the what I thought was an axe murder. Turned out to be a bat murder, but and I was like, okay, starting off strong, and then got nice anime, and everything was fine. And I'm like, this is giving me big Doki Doki vibes. Not everything's as it seems. Let's give this a shot. And I was very quick to get on the side of doing this. You did not have to convince me long, Kirby. And at first, a couple chapters, I was like, I don't want to say I had to force my way through them, but I was like, okay, all right, we're getting some cute anime moments. It feels like I'm watching an anime series with some maybe filler episodes. And then the shipping happened, which satisfied me. And then we started getting sprinkles of the horror story that was happening. And I was like, okay. And it was by the end that like, oh shit, I did like 5 chapters in like 2 days or more.
Yeah, you went fast.
I went fast.
And then Wash just beat you somehow.
You did.
And the
it's because of the time. So, needless to say, I liked it. I liked it a lot. It caught my interest. It was very intriguing. I like the characters. I like how Kishi was written. And I'm interested to see what happens next because it's written very well. The art is great. I like the original art.
With an ending like that, I posted on a Discord. I just finished the first part of Higurashi, and it's like with an ending like that, I have no idea how there's like 7 more parts of this. And somebody who's clearly read this before just responded with evil smiley face.
Yeah, because you see, part 2 is actually about Oishi and his buddy cop going on buddy cop road trips together.
Sweet.
Oh,
clearly that's what part 2 is about.
Wait, really?
I will neither confirm nor deny.
God damn it. All right, Kirby, your thoughts.
Okay, I've made this point clear already. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Higurashi as a whole. My outlook is a little bit different because I've obviously finished it. I wouldn't be recommending this otherwise. It's a little hard for me to say. I think for a while, the way that Higurashi's formatted, and I'll get into this a bit more next time. But for now, I'm not going to get into too many of my final thoughts. I'm going to generally save them, but I am a fan of this. I love the way that the characters are. I think it's really, really sad, and I'm thinking the more that we go through it, and even if at any point once we finish, you decide that it might be worth it to come back. Even if it's just the first book to reread that, see, you'll definitely see a lot more of like, wow, this is really like what a buzzkill. But I thoroughly enjoy it. Yeah, so I guess I could say this now that I know that you two are in this for the long haul. Higurashi's longer than the Bible.
What?
I believe it.
It's longer than the Bible.
Oh fuck! I've had to read them.
It's longer than the Bible by I think a couple 100,000 words.
I believe it was. But
damn it, I went to a Catholic university. I had to read the Bible.
Yeah, well, now you get to read something longer in the Bible. There you go.
And yet, it's not longer than Homestuck. And with that, join us next time when we return to Hinamizawa when Oishi and his buddy cop friend go on buddy cop road trip together.
If that is seriously the plot, I'll be so happy. All right, and with that, do you want to do one more plug or no? Because we already did it in the beginning, right? Edit this out. And with that, I'm Random Bystander here.
I'm Nicholas Angel.
And I'm taking Kenta-kun home with me.
That's so cute! Cute! I felt weird doing. Good night, everybody.
Good night.